Lila Nguyen, a resilient 38-year-old land surveyor and devoted single mother to her energetic 10-year-old son Ethan, had always dreamed of a stable home where she could hang up her theodolite after long days in the field. Her career had taken her across rugged terrains, mapping out boundaries for developments, highways, and even national parks. The physical demands were grueling, endless hours under the scorching sun or in biting winds, lugging heavy equipment over uneven ground. But it was rewarding work, giving her a deep appreciation for the precision of property lines and the stories they told about land and legacy. When her uncle, a reclusive engineer who had lived in Willow Creek for decades, passed away unexpectedly, he left her his modest ranch-style home as her inheritance. The house was a cozy single-story affair with a wraparound porch, large windows that let in floods of natural light, and a backyard that backed onto a serene wooded area. It was perfect for Lila and Ethan, a place to plant roots quite literally, with space for a vegetable garden and a swing set. Moving to Willow Creek felt like a fresh start, a haven where she could finally balance her professional life with motherhood. The quiet streets echoed with birdsong in the mornings, and the mountain views from her kitchen window inspired her daily. However, tranquility was short-lived. The neighborhood's Homeowners Association, HOA, a self-important entity that prided itself on maintaining uniform excellence, was helmed by Marge Peterson. Marge was a formidable woman in her late 50s, with sharply coiffed silver hair, piercing blue eyes that missed nothing, and a perpetual clipboard clutched in her manicured hands. She styled herself as the ultimate gatekeeper, patrolling the streets like a sheriff in a Western film, issuing citations for the slightest infractions. Her reputation preceded her. Neighbors whispered about her unyielding enforcement of rules that seemed arbitrary at best and tyrannical at worst. Marge's HOA meetings were infamous for their length and drama, often devolving into lectures on community aesthetics and shared values. It started innocently enough. Lila had installed a simple wooden fence in her backyard shortly after moving in. It was 6 feet tall, sturdy enough to keep Ethan safe while he played, and to provide privacy from nosy passers-by. The fence blended seamlessly with the natural surroundings, its cedar planks weathering to a soft gray that complemented the mountain backdrop. But one crisp autumn afternoon, a certified letter arrived from the HOA. Marge had deemed the fence non-compliant. According to her measurements, taken surreptitiously during one of her routine inspections, it stood 2 inches taller than the allowed maximum of 5 feet, 10 inches. She claimed it disrupted the harmonious visual flow of the community and impeded sightlines for aesthetic uniformity. The fine, a staggering $600, payable immediately. Worse, Marge demanded that Lila join the HOA officially, signing onto their covenants, or face a lien on her property that could jeopardize her home. Lila stared at the letter in disbelief, her surveyor's instincts kicking in. She knew better than most how property rights worked. 5 years earlier, as part of a county contract, she had personally surveyed the entire Willow Creek subdivision. Armed with GPS equipment, laser rangefinders, and historical plats, she had meticulously delineated boundaries, marking where private lots ended and public easements began. It was during that project that she uncovered quirks in the neighborhood's layout, old mining claims from the 1800s that influenced modern zoning, and variances granted to original homeowners like her uncle. Crucially, her property predated the HOA's formation by nearly a decade. The covenants, those binding rules Marge wielded like a scepter, didn't apply to legacy homes unless owners opted in. Determined not to be bullied, Lila dug into her records. She pulled out her deed from the county clerk's office, a yellow document filled with legal jargon but clear on one point: no mention of HOA restrictions. Emboldened, she attended the next HOA meeting, held in the community center's drab multi-purpose room under flickering fluorescent lights. The air was thick with tension as 24 neighbors shifted uncomfortably in folding chairs. Marge, presiding from a podium like a judge, banged her gavel and launched into her agenda. When Lila's turn came to speak, Marge's eyes narrowed. "Ms. Nguyen, your fence is a clear violation. Pay the fine or we'll escalate to the city authorities," she declared, her voice dripping with authority. Lila remained calm, her years of presenting findings to skeptical clients serving her well. She unfolded a large survey map on the table, its lines crisp and authoritative. "Actually, Margaret, let's talk about boundaries," she said evenly. Projecting digital county records onto a screen via her laptop, she highlighted key points. Not only was her fence well within her property lines, but Marge's own elaborate wrought iron fence, adorned with ornate finials and stretching across her expansive yard, encroached on public land by a full 3 feet. This wasn't just a minor overlap. It violated zoning ordinances that protected communal green spaces. The room erupted in gasps as neighbors leaned forward, murmuring in surprise. Lila explained her credentials. She was the very surveyor who had established Willow Creek's official lines for the county. Her signature was on the plats. Marge's face flushed a deep crimson, her clipboard trembling slightly in her grip. But she wasn't one to back down easily. "This is preposterous. Those documents must be forged." "I'll have my lawyer look into this," she sputtered, attempting to regain control. The meeting adjourned in chaos, with whispers of rebellion circulating among the attendees. Lila, anticipating Marge's denial, had a contingency plan. She contacted an old colleague, a senior county official named Tom Hargrove, who oversaw land use enforcement. At the following HOA meeting, a special session called amid growing unrest, Tom accompanied her. Dressed in a no-nonsense suit, he confirmed Lila's findings with official stamps and data. "Mrs. Peterson, your fence is indeed in violation," he stated flatly. "The penalty? A $2,000 fine and an order to remove the encroaching section within 30 days or face further legal action." Marge sat stunned, her empire crumbling. Word of the confrontation spread like wildfire through Willow Creek. Neighbors, long chafing under Marge's regime, found their voice. For years, she had fined people for untrimmed bushes that dared grow an inch too wild, for mailboxes painted in unapproved shades of blue instead of beige, for holiday decorations left up a day too long, and even for cars parked facing the wrong direction in driveways. The cumulative resentment boiled over. A group of residents, including a retired teacher named Sarah and a young IT specialist called Mike, rallied behind Lila. They formed the Willow Creek Alliance, a grassroots organization dedicated to fair governance. The alliance didn't stop at meetings. They took to social media, posting scathing reviews on neighborhood forums, Yelp pages for the HOA, and even local Facebook groups. Hashtags like Tyranny and Marge Must Go trended locally. Detailed accounts of overreach flooded in. One family fined $300 for a birdhouse deemed too whimsical. Another threatened with eviction over a trampoline. The exposure led to a 70% drop in Marge's issued fines almost overnight, as people refused to pay and challenged her authority. Emboldened, the city launched an investigation into the HOA for potential fraud, scrutinizing financial records that revealed questionable fees funneled into administrative costs that suspiciously benefited Marge personally. The climax came at a packed town hall meeting in the Colorado Springs Civic Center. The room buzzed with anticipation as Lila stepped to the microphone once more. She revealed a final devastating twist. Her uncle's estate included a trust that owned the community park, a lush 5-acre space with picnic tables, a playground, and a gazebo where Marge had hosted all her HOA events. As trustee, Lila had the power to dictate its use. Effective immediately, she banned Marge and her cronies from holding meetings there, citing misuse for divisive purposes. The announcement drew cheers from the crowd. Marge, cornered and humiliated, resigned on the spot, muttering excuses as she stormed out. In the aftermath, the Willow Creek Alliance stepped in to fill the void. They transformed the HOA into a voluntary community council, emphasizing collaboration over coercion. Initiatives flourished. Community gardens where residents grew organic produce together, block parties that fostered real connections, and workshops on sustainable living. Fines were replaced with friendly reminders and volunteer cleanups. Lila's fence remained standing, a 6-foot testament to resilience and justice. Her home became a gathering spot for the Alliance, where Ethan played with neighborhood kids amid laughter and shared stories. Years later, Lila would look out at the mountains from her porch, sipping coffee, and reflect on the fiasco. It wasn't just about a fence. It was about standing up for what's right, using knowledge as a shield against bullying. Willow Creek had evolved into a true community where views were shared, not imposed, and where the only boundaries that mattered were those drawn with fairness,